to the Pokemon Labs Midseason Showdown. Rowlet is ready to take a front row seat for this really exciting match. This is the top 4 matchup between Riley, Factura, and
Andrew, whose last name I don't
know. We don't know. We just had Andrew too.
Eugene. It's Eugene. That's my bad.
That's all right.
Sorry about that. Eugene.
Yeah, it's really tricky because we just got into it. There's like 2 minutes just between matches just about. But what's really exciting about this match is Riley is on the verge of a World Championships invite. If he wins this match, he needs to hit top 2. And that's what it'll do if he wins. So if he gets the win here, the victory here, he's going to the World Championships.
He is. Granted, he's also going to the 100% going to the World Championships because there's no world in which Riley Factura doesn't qualify sometime between now and the end of the season. But it's still, always impressive when you lock that down before the first third of the year is even over.
Absolutely.
But here we go. We have the teams. This is actually the first time that we've got a chance to see Riley on stream, and it's a proper weather war here with Xerneas, Kyogre, Kartana, Incineroar, Amoonguss, and Tornadus. And then Eugene has, as we recall, that Groudon, Xerneas, Zapdos, Tapu Lele, Incineroar, and Kartana.
Now, right off the bat, like you said, there's going to be weather wars. I think Eugene's going to really use that Zapdos to its advantage. When you look on Riley's side, Kyogre and Tornadus, the main 2 combo for the Weather Wars on Riley's side, is really crippled by Zapdos, and especially because Zapdos gets Tailwind, even though Tornadus does as well. Riley's going to have to use that Tornadus in a way that either he's going to have to taunt Zapdos or try and match the speed tiers when it comes to Tailwind. As for Eugene's side, that Groudon Xerneas combo, it's a very common combo. Especially it will be in the Ultra format when they both counter each other's weaknesses nicely. But just in this Sun format alone, they are very strong Pokemon that work together. Very powerful hard hitters. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a fun one to see. This is going to be exciting.
Both these players have obviously played very well today, so they're feeling themselves. From Riley, though, we get that nice standard Amoonguss and Xerneas lead, whereas Eugene goes with what he's been leading a lot today, in the Tapu Lele and the Zapdos.
So, like I said, we're going to see Zapdos, Tapu Lele. I think that's going to really come in handy, especially with that Tailwind on Zapdos with Eugene. That'll be an interesting thing to see because Amoonguss could possibly Spore, although it is threatened by Tapu Lele. There's not much that Eugene can do to stop Riley's side from setting up the Xerneas. But Eugene can also match that with the Tailwind, and if he's got something, if he can plan it out right, using the Tailwind to his advantage, using a Pokemon that's faster, he'll be able to get into a better position here to knock out the Xerneas thanks to that Tailwind. Tapu Lele also, unless that Amoonguss is carrying the berry that takes that half damage from a super effective Psychic attack, it's gone. There's no way taking it.
It's definitely going to be a rough one for it. And the other thing, though, I think Tapu Lele also has Taunt, if I'm not mistaken. So, depending on how speed goes. Actually, Riley doesn't even look like he wants to set up. He's just going for straight damage. He's also not redirecting anything. Gets the special attack drop on the Tapu Lele. That's pretty significant, and we actually see the Taunt onto the Amoonguss as the Zapdos goes for a Tailwind here. So if Riley decided to Spore, he's not going to be able to do that. But at least his team hasn't taken any damage yet.
I gotta admit, that was a really good call from Eugene. He was able to, he knew that in this case there was no real stopping that Xerneas. So he just focused on that Amoonguss, and because Riley attacked, I think it gives him a pretty decent advantage, especially with Tapu Lele going to be able to use a super effective Psychic attack. And the combination of Lele and Zapdos targeting Xerneas before it can set up a Geomancy, that might be a knockout right away.
Well, let's find out. The Amoonguss is going to switch out since it can't really do anything. And a Psyshock and a Heat Wave come out from Eugene's side, but that just barely brings the Xerneas below half health. And so it just gets actually to set up a free tail or Geomancy itself. And now it is going to have matched the speed of both Pokemon on Eugene's side and actually exceeded them because, as we saw in turn 1, it moved first. So now with the Dazzling Gleam, you can do something like knock out the Lele and chip this Zapdos, or depending on how Riley decides to predict switches, could go the other way and just knock out that Zapdos straight up. But Riley's got a lot of options here.
Yeah, Riley being able to set up as Xerneas was really key. And what's interesting is, I believe earlier in the day, we've seen Psyshock from Tapu Lele do a lot more than over half, under half. So now Eugene going into that Kartana, it's going to threaten Xerneas.
Absolutely. So with Kartana coming out here, actually, okay, so Zapdos is getting taunted by the prankster Tornadus, and a Dazzling Gleam comes out trying to finish off that Lele, which retrieved, but it's going to do quite a lot of damage to both these Pokemon. And wow, that looked like that Tornado Mattering stopped the Roar.
Yeah, that's a move you do not see often on Zapdos. Roar. Eugene, that is just a very unique play, but it definitely is effective against Xerneas, unless, you know, that Tornadus comes in and taunts you. Riley, though, has to be careful because that Dazzling Gleam's not going to do enough to knock out either of Eugene's combo right now. And we're going to see that Tailwind, so Riley definitely boosting his team with that Xerneas and Tornadus combo.
Yeah, and so now Riley's going to have the speed advantage here, and at this point, the Tornadus has really done its job. It's, you know, it stopped the Zapdos from being able to get rid of the Xerneas, and it also got Tailwind up as the Tailwind peters out on Eugene's side. And so now if Riley just goes ahead and goes for something like a Moonblast into the Zapdos, he's going to be able to make sure that the speed control is always in his favor, and now the Kyogre can kind of come in and just go for a Water Spout. Really, either way, no matter how you slice this, I think Riley's getting 2 knockouts here.
Yeah.
Unless someone protects.
Oh, yeah. Well, really, Dazzling Gleam, Water Spout combo, there's nothing that's going to beat that. Especially with the Tailwind. I do not see anything that Eugene can do. He's going to save his Kartana, though, because it's super effective against both these guys. That's definitely wise.
Yeah, well, and also, I mean, getting the Sun out there does mitigate the damage to some extent, but Groudon's really not going to appreciate this because, I mean, you're still able to get off the Water Spout, and I think at this range, it's going to be able to pick up 2 easy knockouts here. And, you know, Riley doesn't even really have to switch out at this point. It's just Tapu Lele and Kartana. You can probably just go for another Water Spout, and it's pretty much done.
Yeah, Riley showing off why he is just one more win away from World Championships invite. The combo of Xerneas and Kyogre is among the most deadly in this format because Dazzling Gleam, Water Spout, 2 moves that are just, with Xerneas' boost and with Kyogre having a 150 base attack move, that counters so much and breaks through so many combinations that even if Eugene brings in 2 things that resist both, it's not gonna, there's just very little hope for him.
Yeah. Well, and Reindeer also one of the more deadly, you know, restricted duos, something we kind of figured out at the end of last season. And, you know, you can just kind of see it working here. Katana hanging on with just a little bit of HP is going to take the most unnecessary amount of Water Spout damage I think I might have ever seen.
Yeah.
And that is gone. So Riley, I mean, and what's really impressive here is Riley basically, there was maybe that one turn where it looked like it was not great, but then he knew exactly when to set that Geomancy, and then brought in the Kyogre and kind of made it look effortless, getting that win. The only Pokemon he lost was the Tornadus, and that he pretty much let go down intentionally.
Yeah, that was definitely a wise play, actually. Being able to set up that Kyogre right away and get that synergy with Xerneas against every one of Eugene's Pokemon. There is nothing that could have stopped that combo. Eugene now, if he wants to stop that, I don't really know much he can do. The Tailwind definitely comes in handy, but one thing I noticed with Riley's team, it does kind of fall short to Trick Room because Tornadus with Tailwind is so useful and Kyogre is extremely fast, and same with Xerneas. Yeah, he's got the Amoonguss and Incineroar, but that doesn't do that well. They don't do too much, they don't go too well in Trick Room. While Eugene, he's locked in. He doesn't have Trick Room, and that's like the only thing that I can see Riley possibly faltering out of the team.
The other thing that I think you know, Eugene could probably pull off is utilizing Incineroar a little bit better. You got the fake out to kind of stop the Xerneas from setting up. Also, if he times that Roar, you know, if the Tornadus is now to taunt the Zapdos and he times that Roar correctly, he could potentially catch Riley. But I think that's also why Riley did not go for the Geomancy right away until the Tornado was in, because he knew that the Roar was a possibility. So, you know, I don't know if that Riley's going to necessarily give him that opportunity.
One thing I want to see, though, is Eugene. Maybe he has Roar on Incineroar. We saw that earlier in the tournament as well, and that, if he's able to set up the Psychic Terrain with that, the taunt from Tornadus will not connect. Well, Prankster doesn't connect with Incineroar anyway, so you don't even need the Psychic Terrain. But Eugene gonna go for his own Xerneas Tapu Lele. That's interesting.
Yeah, and Riley's mixing it up actually with Xerneas and the Incineroar. And what's interesting here, obviously because of the Psychic Terrain, the fake out that I think Riley must have been hoping for is not going to be a factor.
Yeah, this is actually interesting too because we see now that the two Xerneas are faster. We know that Tapu Lele is going with Xerneas. Obviously, it is a really fast Pokemon. So knowing that for Riley in this case, knowing that Eugene Xerneas is faster than his Tapu Lele is very useful to keep in mind. You can't, with Incineroar, you can't fake out on this turn. There's not very much you can do. You can Flare Blitz onto either of Eugene's Pokemon, but now
you could U-turn also for some repositioning.
Yeah, U-turn, get into a better position. I think we saw that Eugene's Tapu Lele was carrying the Focus Sash, so if Riley paid attention to that, he might be able to go for some sort of chip damage to make sure after that he set up his Xerneas, he can knock out the Lele in one shot. So that might be what he wants to do with that Incineroar.
Well, alright, we're just starting this off straight up with a Geomancy from Riley's side, which I can only imagine will be matched by Eugene. And then it really comes down to what the other Pokemon on this side of the field do. I think it's also important to note that Eugene has access to the Psyshock, which is going to be able to still do a good amount of damage to the Xerneas, and then obviously the Flare Blitz is also another option here. So, you know what, this brings me back. This may be the first time so far today where we've had the beautiful double Xerneas, double Geomancy, because you just get to see all those, that beautiful animation twice back to back. So definitely don't need to fill that time. But now we're going to finally see some actual attacks, and it is that Psyshock from the Xerneas. Going to take the Xerneas down to just below half. That is indeed that reposition, that breaking of the Focus Sash. Actually doing a pretty good amount of damage to that Tapu Lele. And now Riley's going to be able to bring something out to give him the edge against this other Xerneas. It could be something like the Tornadus, maybe get a chance to protect and go for Tailwind.
And there it is.
And there it is.
Yeah, definitely a good call there. There's nothing that can stop Tornadus from setting up that Tailwind right now. And if Riley ends up going... We saw him outspeed Eugene, both of Eugene's Pokemon, so there is the shot that he is faster. He could just be a speed tie. So if Riley has Protect on his Xerneas, which I think we might have seen in the last game, that would be a good play right now to get the speed tier up. Don't care about your right side, just get that Tailwind up, because after that, there's nothing stopping you from knocking out Lele. But Riley's team doesn't have too many good counters against Xerneas. He has Kartana with Smart Strike, but that's not a one-hit KO.
So Tapu Lele is just going to go ahead and protect, and it looks like Riley is not. So as the Tornadus sets up the Tailwind, and we actually get the speed tie reveal, Riley is going to have to take a Moonblast and survive, and he's not able to. And so that is definitely going to be a bit of a problem for him going forward. He's in a position where he can bring in that Kyogre, but it's going to have a harder time breaking through that Xerneas than I think Riley would like.
Yeah, if Riley has Kartana, now would be the time to show it, getting that speed advantage, and possibly knocking out with Hurricane. That's now what I'm curious about. Kartana have been using Assault Vest most of the time to counter Kyogres, or block damage from Kyogre. In this case, he really needs to block damage from a Dazzling Gleam or Moonblast, and if he is able to use that Kartana, he might be able to possibly predicted Protect off of Eugene Xerneas, or go for a knockout on Lele, or he can go for a Hurricane Smart Strike combo onto Eugene Xerneas, but we're not going to see that Kartana, or whatever his last Pokemon is. He's going to go into Incineroar.
Yeah, so Intimidate not mattering much, and neither is Fake Out, but, you know, it is, Incineroar does at least take both these Pokemon Fairy-type attacks neutrally, so it is likely going to be able to get off something like a Flare Blitz or a knockoff onto one of these other Pokemon. And it'll be interesting here to see what the Tornadus does, because it's not in the rain, so Hurricane won't be able to connect. That's going to be tricky.
Yeah, and that actually makes me think Riley's last Pokemon is Kyogre. I really... Not seeing the Kartana or Amoonguss, because Amoonguss can also go for Clear Smog if it used, and like 90% of Amoonguss carry that now. That makes me think the only thing he has in the back is that Kyogre. He wasn't prepared for this Xerneas setup, and he went for the Hurricane and missed.
Yeah, well, and that's going to happen to you when you don't have the rain up to support you. And so Incineroar is going to take, oh wow, it's going to barely hang on from a Moonblast and get a chance to eat its berry. So I think that means it's going to be able to hang on for at least one attack. But Tapu Lele may have something to say. Oh, actually Tapu Lele does not get a chance to say anything about it, because the Tailwind it only affects Riley's side. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage though. And now the Tornadus is going to lose its Focus Sash. Well, actually,
not.
technically not. Still has it. It's going to hang out with 2 HP, so effectively the same thing.
I've been surprised with Tornadus' bulk. It's actually taken a lot of more hits than I would expect it to. But in this case, Riley, a Hurricane Flare Blitz onto Eugene Xerneas, maybe. Oh, it looks like Riley actually might be throwing in the towel.
Yeah.
Even though you have that option to keep playing with your 3, sometimes it is better to just give up at the moment. Don't reveal any more information, which kind of makes me suspect Riley didn't want to reveal what his 4th Pokemon is.
Yeah.
Keep Eugene guessing. And in that case, I think that was, even though he quit it kind of early, not giving away information is still a useful tactic in this game.
Well, and I think Riley understood that he's going to have to maybe come with a different game plan because obviously he didn't have to worry about the Xerneas from Eugene in the first game, and that kind of caused a bit of a problem for him in this game. And so that, for all we know, that 4th Pokemon maybe, it could have been, obviously it wasn't going to help him beat the Xerneas, or you would have seen it. But yeah, I mean, preserving that information is really good here. But Riley's going to have to figure out something to, handle this Xerneas before he goes back into this next game.
Now, what's interesting is we didn't see Incineroar from Riley's side on the second game. We did on the.
No, we did.
Or I'm sorry, on the first game. But he switched out his Amoonguss for Incineroar, or what we know, at least one of his Pokemon, Amoonguss or Kyogre. I'm not sure that was necessarily the right play for Riley, because now knowing that Eugene's not afraid to set up his Xerneas, he might want to bring in one of those 2 counters he has, and that's why I think he forfeited, because he had Kyogre in the back. I think not carrying it, because Amoonguss and Kartana both counter Xerneas very nicely, giving up that game now, knowing it's hopeless, might have revealed that he was carrying that Kyogre, but Eugene's ready again. He's set.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the Tapu Lele Xerneas lead again, because it's so potent here. Like, stopping Prankster Taunt is huge, because that means that really Riley loses his main way. He can't fake out, he can't Prankster. The only way he could do is maybe have a Moongus and then put like the Xerneas to sleep after it's already boosted, but it's just such a rough time for him.
Yeah. This one's going to be an interesting match, especially because, like I said earlier, Riley needs to win this to go to Worlds at the moment. Of course, he still has a couple more chances, but getting an invite so early, pressure might be on for him right now, too. And he's also, I think he's undefeated. I don't think he's lost a tournament yet, so that might also add some pressure onto him.
All right, well, he found the answer. It is the Xerneas and the Kartana. And actually, we're going to see another mix-up here. It is the Zapdos and the Xerneas. So the Roar is potentially in play for Riley's side, or for Eugene's side, which means that Riley's not going to be able to set up safely.
Riley's got this scenario that has been happening all day. It's a 50-50 shot. You got to get into your opponent's head. There's 2 things Zapdos can do. It can roar onto Riley's Xerneas, or it can Heat Wave and try and remove Kartana. So Riley really's got to think, what is Eugene going to do? And there's not very much he can. Well, obviously he has Kartana against Xerneas, but that's not going to do enough to knock it out.
Well, but you could double into it.
Yeah, but again, I think we saw Riley's it's a speed tie, so if Eugene's able to get that Geomancy up first, that probably won't knock out if it's a Moonblast Smart Strike, and then Zapdos can do its thing. It can also Tailwind too, so Riley has that. Zapdos is really the surprise start of this match.
Wow, but Eugene is actually just going to go ahead and protect, saying, I can Geomancy whenever I want. I don't got to worry about it. But actually, I think maybe he was worried about the knockoff, which was a pretty significant factor. And on top of that, Riley's like, well, you can either roar me or you can damage my Kartana. And so he's just going to go for the Geomancy too. And if he's not punished for this, this is going to be a really huge turn from him here. And I think honestly the Roar is probably the better play, because I don't think Heat Wave is going to do a whole lot. Tailwind is not the worst play, because now you're back to speed ties in terms of the Xerneas, but you're not boosted, and so now the double is definitely getting a knockout.
Yeah, in this case, Riley's actually, he's got so many options. He can go for that double attack on Xerneas, but that is scary with that Zapdos, especially having Roar. It's not it's going to come down to, first, the speed tie, second, what Zapdos does. Kartana's really in this weird scenario where it can't do very much. It's going to get hit by either Xerneas or Zapdos. If not, I'll be kind of surprised. But in that case, you might want, there's not really much you can do. Maybe switch into a bulkier Pokemon that can take a Xerneas hit, but I don't know what that would be for Riley's side.
Well, I mean, you got to be afraid of. Yeah, I think Riley probably is going to have to see this switch coming because now, I mean, I think a roar is happening here because the Lele's here to give Zapdos its Psychic Seed boost, so it's going to be able to try and survive this this incoming Moonblast. Yeah, and there's the Moonblast, and I would not be surprised. Yep, that's into Zapdos, and so I think. Wow, okay.
Oh, critical hit!
Wow, so that's probably one of the better timed crits of the world, but I'm not sure if it mattered a whole lot because that knockoff could have easily finished things off. But in the meantime, it's going to do really big damage to that Tapu Lele. And now I think Riley is in a pretty good position here because Eugene's really behind the ball.
I really don't know how this is going to end up, though, because Eugene Xerneas could be a huge threat. It is threatened by both of Riley's Pokemon, but getting a Geomancy up, it needs to win the speed tie. It really does, because a Smart Strike Moonblast might be, take that. Eugene might be able to switch out his Tapu Lele if he's carrying Incineroar to get that Intimidate on Kartana. Make sure Xerneas takes that Smart Strike, and it's going to be Eugene winning that speed tie with that Geomancy.
Well, and that will kind of help in the sense that he won't just get one hit knocked out by the Moonblast, but now what's much more likely is that double target because once Riley removes that problem from the field, then I'm sure you can just bring the Kyogre and just kind of spout his way to victory here. Now the attack is coming out. It is into that Xerneas, and that does well enough. And you get the drop, so if Kartana somehow doesn't get a chance to attack, which it does because the Side Shock is coming into the Xerneas, now the Smart Strike will easily get the knockout on, wow, okay, so it's the Tapu Lele instead. And that's gone too, and I mean, just as well, I think you get the boost. The Kartana is still pretty much, I think it's untouched, and so you know, if it's a Focus Sash, it's got that intact, and if it's, oh no, it's not. I think it's AV.
I think we saw it was AV earlier, yeah. Actually, surprisingly, Eugene isn't out of this yet. Eugene is not out of this.
Oh, no.
Really.
He's definitely, I don't think he's out of it.
This is intense. We could see Fire Punch from his Groudon. It's a super common move on Groudon to remove that Kartana. And Eugene now, he's got Tailwind, don't forget. So he outspeeds Riley Xerneas. And a Moonblast we saw did enough to knock out Eugene's. Knowing that they are both speed tied, unless Riley is sacrificing some of his special attack for special defense, this might be a knockout.
Well, I think, I think with the Assault Vest, it was not quite going to get that knockout. And now Riley can just Moonblast the Groudon and then go for another Smart Strike into the Xerneas and pretty much clean up the game. That crit, I mean, I don't know how much it mattered.
But
it might have been. It all came down to that one turn, that's for sure.
It made for a good show, I can tell you that.
Yeah. And so now Riley Factura qualifies for Worlds, goes on to the finals, and gets that win over Eugene in a pretty close set.
Yeah. I think it was interesting as well to see that Riley Xerneas, I think getting that Geomancy and that speed boost really played into his advantage because I was debating if Eugene's Groudon would move faster. I didn't think so, but that Fire Punch would have come in clutch if Xerneas didn't set up that Geomancy.
Right.
And Riley being able to knock out that Zapdos at the right time, that was like you said, that's the securing point of the game.
Yeah.
And huge props to both players. That was really entertaining.
Yeah,
that was one of the most entertaining matches, especially now that we know that Riley is a World Championship contender. Special congratulations to him for doing that. We'll see him in the finals in like a few minutes now.
Yeah.
Just a couple more.
Just a few minutes. So I think that we'll actually take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, Arnie. I think this is. I think that might be it for you today.
Yes.
But thank you for being here, man.
And thank you for being here too.
Yeah.
You'll see Jason for the finals. You'll also see him with Regina. So I will see you guys at the next tournament. And have fun with the finals. That's always exciting. Always exciting.
Should be a good time. But don't go anywhere because it's coming soon.
See you later.